Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back, everybody. There is something that all of us at one point in our life will be dealing with. And it really is a part of life. It's a challenge. I'm talking about grief. And the first thing that comes to mind when somebody may be grieving is the passing of a loved one. And that certainly is one of the big ones, but it also comes in the form of you could be grieving a relationship, could be a divorce, could be ending a job after a number of years. Many different situations all involve grief. How do you navigate that? You find support. Yes, you can be in groups and talk to people. In my experience and those around me, you really need to elevate that support to somebody that truly understands and walks that journey with you. And this is Healing Grief, Love Lost and Found. She is the woman behind a wonderful center that it's the first time I've ever heard of it. And I'm elated to know it exists. And we're talking about the National Grief Support Center. The woman behind that, helping many people, Julie Ehlers, joins us on the program today. How you doing?
Thanks, Steve. I'm absolutely delighted to be here and to share about grief and help people learn about why we feel the way we do after somebody passes, or when we move, or when a relationship doesn't work. We feel these heavy, heavy feelings, and it's all defined under grief. Grief is the emotional reaction that a human being has to loss. It's our emotions. And, you can talk about stages of grief, and that all of those, you've got the anger, you've got the denial, you've got depression, you have all these things, bargaining, and then hopefully acceptance. But in the program that I offer, which is the grief recovery method, it's not following, I meet the griever where they're at. We're not following a set stages of grief. Oh, you're in this stage now and you'll move to the next stage. It doesn't work like that. Grief is messy. And it's all squirrely all over the map, right? So my goal always in talking to grievers is to help them heal their emotional pain. And it's through a 7-week program. And we use a handbook which is filled with, it's simply written, and yet it's filled with like the golden nuggets of life and learning about ourselves again. We may lose somebody and feel completely lost and out of sorts, and you can't function, you fall to your knees. There's all these symptoms that come with grief. But this book helps us move through that to healing. So it's 7 weeks. It's an investment in self and moving forward in your life so you can live fully again.
The stages of grief, many of us have heard that they exist, might not remember each one of them, but in the past year or so, I've heard that they're really not the best. It doesn't really work as well as everybody thinks it does. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts on that is that it doesn't work to focus on, okay, I must be in denial. I must still be in shock, or I'm very angry right now, or very sad, I'm depressed. Well, the symptoms of grief are all of those things and more. It's having brain fog. It's not being able to function. It's forgetting things. It's if you have to go to work, all you know is you need to be there at 8 or 9 in the morning. So how do you get out of bed? That's how grievers feel. So it's not that you're so much depressed. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, I have to give her 100% kudos for coming up with these stages of grief. And her predecessor, David Kessler, who is an incredible grief practitioner, he's come up with finding meaning at the end of these stages. Well, there is truth in that, but we don't follow stages. We follow our heart, if that
Hmm.
makes sense.
Sure.
We follow where we're at, and we have to meet ourselves where we're at every day because every day is different. You might have days of clarity, days of being able to connect with another human being. And then there are days where you feel like you just need to isolate. The isolation, though, can feel good, but it can become kind of a dangerous habit. When I say dangerous, it means that we're getting in the habit of
Hmm.
excluding ourselves from the world around us. And that comes with all kinds of other unhealthy things that can happen.
Would you say, Julie, that the stages of grief as we know it doesn't really work fantastic because one size doesn't fit all?
That's right.
Hmm.
Absolutely right.
Everybody grieves different. Everybody is in a different stage of the five stages. And to say that, well, you should be here on to the next one,
Right.
the let's say the anger stage or the let's bargain stage,
Yeah.
you could be a few years into a grieving situation and then go back to one of those, you know.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. When I say that grief is all over the map, that's exactly what I mean, Steve. You're not on a linear path. And just because I may have healed to the point of being able to function after a year of loss, and I'm getting out in the world and I'm doing things and I'm meeting people, it doesn't mean that the other person should be there. It's not a competition. And I think people, especially in our culture, get hung up in a lot
Hmm.
of that. Who's doing what? And if we're 30, we should be here in life. If we're 40, we should be there. And then bam, your husband dies. Bam, your wife dies.
Hmm.
Your parents die and you were very close to them and you're young. And it's a mind blower. So I'll tell you, when my brother died, I was 34 years old. And this year, 2025, he died in 1995, was his 30th anniversary of his death. And I can tell you that I didn't drop to my knees. I didn't bawl my eyes out. I had tender, beautiful love for my brother in his remembrance. And I thought, should I eat Chinese food today? No, that's not so good for me. But if Jeffrey was alive, we would go eat Chinese food. Um,
Hmm.
so what I miss about him is his unconditional love. I miss that I had him in my life. I miss that he was that go-to person for me. We had a ball. We were young. We did things together. He was my best friend.
Right.
So, you know, it took me a year to feel semi-normal. I could not go to the grocery store, Steve. What stage was that?
Right.
Okay.
Like,
There's
where
not a
is that?
stage for not being able to go to the grocery store, right?
Can I ask what was preventing you? Did you guys go together? What was going on there?
My brother and I shared a love of cooking.
Okay.
He was a bakery chef at the end of his life, and I love to create. So to me, it's like art, creating food, good food. And my brother and
Mm.
I shared that.
Wow.
And so when he would come to visit, we would go to the grocery store and we would have a blast. He would do weird things, tease me, and he was a brother. So
Yep. Yep.
um, I had all those memories of that. So that
Wow.
was really hard. It was hard for me to function doing that. I
So
remember,
understandable too.
yeah, sitting
Uh,
in a grocery store parking lot and breaking down and just saying to myself, my God, whoa, this is like so unbelievable. I mean, you don't expect those things to happen. And I think to our listeners, I want them to know that that will pass. It will get easier, but that it's super important to connect with people. It's super important to talk about it. And you're
Mm.
right when you said in the beginning of our show today that you can go to groups and you can do this and that, but to elevate your healing, it's really important to talk to somebody one on one
Hmm. That
and to
knows, that understands. And
exactly.
because I look at it this way, you're in a car and you have a couple things in the back seat and you take them out. You're unpacking things in the back seat, and that is the Facebook group or the group, Zoom group, whatever it might be. And
Right.
there's some personalization there. How you doing? How's it going? Oh, you're dating now. Okay, whatever it might be. When somebody meets with you, now the trunk gets open, and we go deeper into that stuff that's not discussed around the other people, and those
Exactly.
feelings come up. Can I share a situation that came up yesterday that is exactly what we're talking about here?
Sure.
Close with someone, their spouse passed away almost 4 years ago, and suddenly,
Hmm.
and they went to a baby shower yesterday, and I don't know if she knew that this was going to take place, but either way, the baby's middle name, the couple did it in memory of her husband that passed name.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
And she mentioned it to me yesterday. And, she said, that's really nice, but, another reminder, that he's gone now.
Mm.
And that's the first thing that came up.
Hmm.
Um, didn't really know what to say, you
Right.
know. Basically, it's nice that they were thinking of you.
Mhm.
Maybe kind of look at it that way, in his memory, they're honoring. But for her feelings, I didn't know what to say. And I wonder what your thoughts are on her feelings based on what I just told you.
She's not healed yet, number one. So it's hard for her to still have those reminders. Her words were just another thing to remind me of him, rather than seeing it from the perspective of others do, like my cousin named her baby boy Jack. Well, there's two Jacks on both sides of her family now. Her husband has a Jack who's special in his life, and she has her grandfather who passed away, I don't know, about 10 years ago now, which is my grandfather also.
Mm,
And they named him Jack. And
yeah.
our whole family, okay, is just thrilled about
Wow.
that. Okay. We are just, it's so special to us because he was such a great human and he lived to be 100. And we all knew him for such a great part of our lives. So your friend is not in that space yet. She's 4 years into the loss,
Yeah.
and maybe she needs to talk more about the loss. Maybe she needs to dig a little bit deeper into the acceptance part. She's not accepted this 100%. And and people who are supportive like yourself don't know exactly what to say. You said the right thing in our natural world. You did say the right thing, which is, well, what a nice reminder, then what a nice thing of them to
A
do.
memorial.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a memorial, and it's also like a sort of ritual to carry on the name, to never forget. And I just think it's a very beautiful gift. And I hope that she does feel that way one day.
I know that she does, but the grief feelings overshadow it, if you will.
Yes,
And
yes.
I want to share something else. This is not about me, but I believe things happen for a reason
Hmm.
and you react to them.
Hmm.
So you just shared something. It got me thinking. My father passed when I was young. Didn't have a great relationship with him. My parents got divorced when I was very, very young.
Hmm.
he would have been, you're talking about somebody who would have been 100. He would have been 96 this year.
Wow.
This is the reason I'm bringing this up. His name was Jack.
Oh my gosh. You see, everything happens for a reason.
100
Steve.
billion percent. And there's no,
Mm.
Jack's not a common name. His name is John, but they called him Jack. And then
Same
same,
with
I'm
my
sure,
granddad. Same with my
right.
granddad. Hmm.
And the reason I'm bringing this up for others, I feel that I'm being told to bring this up, is he passed away long ago. Are we always grieving? I wonder, you know, he died suddenly, hit me hard, even though I didn't have a close relationship with him. But do we bury those feelings? And are they still floating around, around there, and in your subconscious, even though you want to deny it, have we really, really healed when somebody close passes?
You can. Okay. I want to go back to does grief ever go away? Which is
Mm-hmm.
another way of saying it.
Sure.
And the answer to that, I believe, is no.
Mm.
We learn to live with it, but it's very, very important to be in touch with what we're learning to live with. Okay. So you were young, and can I ask how old?
20s.
20s. Okay. So you were young, you were still developing
Yes.
your
I'm still a
your
kid. I was still a kid,
right.
essentially,
Your cerebral
low,
cortex was still coming together.
low
The
20s.
lobe.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, that's a tough time. It's a time in
Yeah.
which we need our parents. Girls need both the boys and the father and the mother, same with the guys, but he's like somebody you would look up to if your relationship had healed. But he
Mm.
left when your relationship was, lack of a better way of saying it, it just wasn't
And you're
supportive.
right. And even more so, and I'll share that when I was in my upper teens, I got a great job, got a girlfriend. I almost had that thought of, you know what, you weren't around, so blanket. I'm not going to be around. I'm going to be doing my thing. And, saw him very infrequently. But after he passed, a number of years after that, I realized, wow, he loved the water. And so do I.
Hmm.
Then I realized, this is in the last few years,
Hmm.
I'm living his life. I am him.
Okay, right.
Yeah,
And that happens. Now, you don't have to live the life that you didn't like about your father.
sure.
You can change that up.
Of course.
I mean, we all change up things that say we didn't like about our parents, and we try and do it better. They did the best they could with what they had.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a lot of truth in that. I've always had trouble with that phrase, but I feel better about it today because I see I see a difference in the people who raised me when I was little, and as they got old, my dad has since died 10, 11 years ago.
Mm.
And mom is still alive and love her to pieces. But the two of them were not perfect. And so when people die, like you are experiencing, you reflect on who they were, how it impacted you, and then who you are today.
Yep.
And and so is the grief still there? Yes, because you didn't get to talk to him before he died. He died suddenly.
Yes.
And so, with that, there's probably a lot of unspoken feelings, unspoken thoughts.
100%.
Yes, and you can't share with him. That's what I missed the most about losing my brother is I could no longer share my life with him in the tangible way that I did.
Mm-hmm.
Pick up the phone and you called them. If we had texting,
Yep.
I would have been texting. You have lunch with people. And so you can heal parts that are still unhealed. You can do it one on one. You can attempt to do it alone, but I don't believe that that works. Certainly not 100%. And
Hmm.
um, but even when you go through a program like what I offer, the Grief Recovery Method program, at the end of the program, grievers will tell me, my God, what a fantastic, journey that's been. Lots of good stuff happened for them. They healed many parts and have a huge understanding of where they're going forward.
You said a word, and I wonder if you said it intentionally. Healed many parts. There are many who believe that we have many parts. I'm not
Yes.
talking about multiple personalities.
No.
There's parts to our personality, and it's like different people you are,
Right, right,
and you have to heal those parts.
right,
But we really don't realize it until somebody like yourself points that out.
right. And Steve, even in the work that I do, there are times when I realize, oh, that part needs some compassion. That
Mm,
part needs some care.
mm.
And I might phone up a colleague and ask for their support in what I am wanting to heal. Um, because it's all about the grief. When it really comes down to everything, it's about if a person can say, my father wasn't the father I wanted him to be. Okay. What was the father you wanted him to be, and how did he show up for you? So those are things that we need to write down and get in touch with. And
Mm.
and we need to know that we can give ourselves that in our healing. We can show up for ourselves the way that Dad didn't. And we can forgive Dad. Forgiveness is a big, big part of the healing process.
In anything.
Yes,
it's,
in
we're just about out of
everything.
time. I got to
Okay.
tell you, you are incredible. You're not just a grief counselor, call it that.
Mhm.
You run deep, almost like a therapist connected to the grief situation.
Mhm.
The insight you have, we all just started
Right.
talking about all of this. So insightful. And it's interesting. I'm going to share also this weekend would have been my mom's birthday.
Mm.
And she passed 6 years ago. And I'm
Mhm.
bringing this up because you sparked a memory. You
Mhm.
talked about your brother and Chinese food. And you
Mhm.
said, it's not really healthy for me.
Right.
I did the same thing because I honor my mom on her birthday by
Mhm.
buying raspberry cheesecake.
Oh, I
Danish.
love it.
Danish. Um, and I got busy over the weekend. I didn't get to the grocery store. I'm going today. And I said the same thing. I don't want to buy it because it's going to be sitting around and want to eat it. And then part of me is like, blanket. I don't really care.
Right. Right.
If they have it. Sometimes it's not easy to find. There's one
Right.
certain brand that started locally where I am, and they still sell it around. Um, but that's how I remember her from that. She used to love it in
Mhm.
her later years, and she passed suddenly. Side note on that, I I'm connected to her. I feel her around all the time. I could, for another time, I get sign signals. I ask for them. I get them. Whether people believe that or not, that's, your choice, but they're
Right.
very specific.
Right.
Um, but I feel like I'm good there with her,
Right. Right.
but it's interesting how somebody can pass and there's grieving, but it's different than when it's somebody else.
Exactly. And we can talk about that
Sure.
next week. I would love to talk about that
Please.
because when my brother died, it was different from when my partner died. And
Mm,
it's different from when my dad died and
yeah,
when my
yeah.
grandparents died. I was close to all these people
Of course.
in all these different ways, but my grief was different in each
Right.
situation. So we can talk about that. And um, we're going to have next week, are we going to have callers call in?
If you say so, we are.
I think we are.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
great.
And so, I want to invite people to come back next week on Monday, the 14th at 11 o'clock.
Absolutely.
And we'll take callers and continue our conversation.
And if you're more comfortable reaching out instead of calling, got a question, we'll even keep it anonymous if you so choose. Instantfeedbacksteve@gmail.com. Instantfeedbacksteve@gmail.com. Julie, best way to reach you, how do we do that?
720-480-3317. That is my direct line. You can text it. You can call me. I'd love to chat with you and give you support and answer any questions you might have.
You have a friend.
Yep, you do.
Yeah.
You do.
And
You're not alone.
You're not alone. No.
And it's okay not to be okay. That's huge. It's okay not to be okay.
Once you admit you're not okay, you're okay.
That's right.
Many
Don't
times.
you love the Jelly Roll song that's so popular? I'm Not Okay.
Yeah.
That is a spectacular song. And I mean, it can resonate with people at different times in their lives, but my gosh, it is okay to not be okay.
Well, finally, we're okay saying this, and we're beautifully broken. My friend wrote a song years ago, a local musician, and I never forgot this lyric. My core is still the same, but there's a few more cracks there in my shell. And it's an upbeat song.
I love it.
That's what we are. NationalGriefSupportCenter.com is the website. And Julie, great talking with you today. Looking forward to getting together next time and providing support, insight on this thing that we all deal with. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve. Have a great day.
You too. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.